So Dak Prescott plans to sign this morning a franchise tag, a franchise tender. Now, what does that mean? That simply means he can't hold out, and he still has a month to work on a new contract. Now, I've been saying this for 18 months. I'm over this story. Pay him or don't. And I've argued he is the perfect franchise tag quarterback, where he feels like he's 12th, 15th best quarterback in the league, but if you pay him a big contract, are you tied to that, and he's overpaid? And, you know, I've always felt the same with Dak. The things I like about him really aren't the football things. His arm is average. He's an athlete, but not great. But the leadership, the toughness, you know, that's stuff I like. But it's interesting. I've been told he's going to sign a deal. And I keep saying Dallas pays everybody. Where's the deal? I'm not so sure he is. So last Friday I did something with him. I said if you could just get the opinions out of it and you could create a data point on wins, playoff wins, production, and availability, and you looked at Dak Prescott, where should he be paid? No opinions. 10th in wins, 13th playoff wins, 13th production, tied for first in availability over the last 4 years. And that makes him the 9.5 highest paid quarterback, about Ryan Tannehill, $29.5 million. But I thought to myself, instead of, because I think we all think he deserves more than that. I thought to myself, okay, let me get a comp for Dak. Because there are a lot of people that are upset. Dak deserves it. And I'm like, all right, let's get a comp for him. And there's a really good comp, Kirk Cousins. So Kirk Cousins, like Dak, was drafted in the 4th round. And Kirk Cousins, he didn't get a play initially because Washington drafted RG3, then that fizzled out, and then they put Kirk Cousins in. So Kirk Cousins, you forget this, finally allowed to start, 3rd year. His numbers are really good. He goes 9-7, 70% completions, 101.6 passer rating, 29 TDs, 11 picks. Those are big boy numbers. And he didn't have Dak's offensive line. So he goes 9-7. The franchise, right? Like the franchise. And he's like, So they say, give me another year. So the next year he comes out and he goes 8-7-1. By the way, they lost 4 one-possession games and tied one. He could have very easily gone 11-5, 10-6, goes 8-7-1. Puts up good numbers. Completion percentage close to 70. Passer rating like elite, like Pro Bowl level. And they franchise tag him. Now remember, the franchise tag then was $19 million. Now it's almost $31.5. Were we outraged by Kirk Cousins? Not really. I wasn't. I was like, I like him. I'm not giving him a 5-year deal. In fact, when Minnesota signed him, I'm like, that's a lot for Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins was Dak. Except Dak has a better offensive line. You could argue Dak's got better weapons than Kirk Cousins. And back then it was $19 million. Now it's almost $32 million. So the point being, if Dak gets a contract, I'm good with it. But I would argue Dak and Kirk Cousins are mostly the same guy. Now, I like Dak more, slightly. I think Kirk throws a better ball. He's a better thrower, accurate thrower. I think Dak's a little tougher, a little more athletic. And I think they both have nice leadership skills. I'd take Dak in big moments over Kirk. So I like Dak more than Kirk. But my takeaway on this, it's the same dilemma with both. There's a bunch of old quarterbacks in the league that appear to still be better. And there's a bunch of really good young quarterbacks in the league that appear to have a higher ceiling than Dak and Kirk. And with both, I feel the same way. I mean, if you give them a deal, it's not going to crush the franchise. And you could certainly make arguments statistically, productivity, they've earned it. But with both, it kind of feels like, man, there's old guys that are still better. There's a bunch of young guys that look like they have higher ceilings. And do I want to pay my guy top of the market or near it? And he kind of feels like B, not A. So whether Dak gets it or not, there can't be any real outrage for it. This is Kirk Cousins. And nobody lost any sleep over Kirk Cousins. And I like Dak more than Kirk, but not a ton more. There's a way bigger gap between like Mahomes, Lamar, and Dak than Kirk Cousins and Dak. So the issue in a salary cap league is I can like a guy, but to pay him top of the market in any position, I got to love a guy. And I don't love Kirk. I don't love Dak. He did sign the franchise tender, meaning he's got now about 3 weeks to get a long-term deal potentially. I keep being told he's going to get it. But if not, he plays for $31.4 million, which I have always felt is closer to his market value. New rule on the show. From this point forward on the show, I don't do this very often. New rule. If a team drafts you anywhere, first round, sixth round, and within 2 years of being drafted, you are arguably, or maybe even not, the best player at your position, just pay the guy. Just pay the guy. So the Jets draft Jamal Adams. He becomes the best player in the league at his position. And suddenly that's a problem. No. That's what you're hoping for. So Jamal Adams was driving around this weekend, and he was in Dallas, a Cowboy fan. I think he was in Dallas somewhere. So here's the piece of audio we have Jamal Adams brings up wanting to play for the Cowboys.
What's up, bro? Hey, what's up, bro? Hey, you coming to Dallas?
Hey, man, I'm trying, bro.
Okay. Just a new rule. The whole point, people say, well, he's a safety. And I thought about it this weekend. Well, safety has to matter because they drafted him with a number 6 pick. Wait a minute. So the Jets were telling you, woo, we need a safety. And you got it, and he was great. And now you're saying, well, he's a safety. Nobody drafts a punter in the first round. Nobody drafts a kicker in the first round. When the Colts drafted the best offensive guard in the last 20 years in college football, everybody went, a guard in the first round? You drafted him 6th. So you can't tell me now it doesn't matter. The other thing businesses do all the time, and I've dealt with this in my career, they go, whoa, we're setting a precedent. Jamal Adams is the precedent. If Marcus May of the Jets came in and said, I want that contract, you'd be like, no, thank you. No, you can go to the Bengals. We'll trade you. Like the new rule on the show, when Zeke came to the Cowboys, he not only could run, not only could catch, he was one of the top 5 blocking backs. Just pay him. I don't care about the position. The whole point of the draft is, especially when you're drafting guys first, second round, you're drafting Pro Bowlers. So if you outperform your contract, and they thought Jamal Adams would be good, did anybody think he would be arguably a top 7-8 player in the league? I honestly believe, I've said this before, he's one of the top 5 to 7 players in the NFL. But let's just stop the whole point of the draft. And a lot of guys underachieve. When you go to the first round, that means this is a position of need. Nobody's drafting punters there. This is a guy we're hoping is a Hall of Fame level talent. And if he not only is a Hall of Famer, but it doesn't take him any time to develop. Like Jamal Adams has been great by like his 7th game in the NFL. Just pay him. I don't want to hear about precedent anymore. Listen, you have to make exceptions for exceptional people. Kyle Shanahan, and I know there's no salary cap with coaches, but he had 3 years left in his contract. San Francisco's like, we're going to tear it up and give you a new one. Kyle Shanahan has a losing NFL record. Now think about that. He's got a losing NFL record, and the Niners are like, we ain't letting this guy get into the market. We're just going to sign him up. That's it. Now, I know it's coach, but they made an exception because Kyle Shanahan is exceptional. Oh, by the way, in the last 4 years, I looked it up. Jets have drafted one player who became a Pro Bowler. It's him. I don't want to hear about precedent. I don't want to hear about exceptions. Do it. And this idea that he's a safety. No, he's not. The more I think about this, he's a linebacker. They put him at defensive end. He's a football player. And he's by far and away the Jets' best football player. And he's by far and away the best football player at his so-called position. Just pay him. You know, I went back and forth on this the last month and a half. I'm like, you can do either way. And I'm like, no, stop. New rule. I don't want to keep flip-flopping on this. New rule. I draft you. You're the best player in the league at that position. I don't care about how many years left. Front offices, figure it out. Oh, by the way, you're still not paying Sam Darnold for 2 years. Figure it out. Pay him. Keep him. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.